Welcome to An Author Dissects a Narrative with your host, Husna Haze. In this captivating series, we will unravel the intricate tapestries of your favorite movies, TV shows, games, books, and beyond. Prepare to embark on a journey of analysis and exploration as we uncover the hidden gems and profound themes within these beloved narratives. Remember to show your support by hitting the like button and subscribing for a regular dose of insightful content. Let's delve into the realms of storytelling together. Welcome back to the Deconstructed Universe. That's right, we're back with episode 6 of Dune Prophecy. This episode is titled The High-Handed Enemy, and I have to say hats off to HBO and the production, the producers, the director, the writers. I mean, this series has been something that has literally kept me immersed in the storytelling and the story arcs, and the way that the set designs, the cinematography, the wardrobe, all adds to the world building is phenomenal. Like, when I watch this series, it really draws a parallel to what I'm seeing in, the cinematic universe regarding Dune, with Timothée Chalamet and, Zendaya and Michael, is it Denis Villeneuve? So I have to say, they really are doing a great job. HBO really knows how to do a budget well when it wants to, and I have to say, hats off. So this episode literally kicks off right where we left off. Now, episode 6 opens up with the flashback. Now, one point I have to make that this series does phenomenally, again, is that when they are, doing flashbacks or flash forwards, they do them in such a way that the story arcs culminate together in order to tell the story. So it doesn't ever feel like there's too many flashbacks, and it does not feel like we're flashing forward and missing something. We find out the things we need to find out when we need to find them out as the audience, and it's done in such a way that it's integrated into the very foundation of the storytelling itself and the character arcs, and that is very hard to do. I mean, I can tell you so many things that I've watched where the flashbacks have felt so redundant at some point, and other times where the flashbacks have felt too much or have missed out on anything. And sometimes flashbacks may also feel like they are a tool used to exposition dump in a way. But the flashbacks done in this series have been done fantastically, and I have to say hats off to them. So we open up with the flashback of what happens in the aftermath of Dorothea basically getting offed by our girl Valia Harkonnen. Now we see that, these sisters that we've been seeing from episode 1 make an appearance. So we've got Francesca, we've got Kula, and we've got all these key characters that were there at the beginning of all of this. So Dorothea has basically been offed, and Tula basically confronts her sister with the other sisters, and she's like, what are we gonna do? Now, they are afraid. It is very clear to see that. Even Valia, in the aftermath of making a choice of choosing the sisterhood, of choosing her path, of following what Sister Raquel wanted for the sisterhood, what Sister Raquel was doing for the sisterhood, she chose to move forward and make that decision. But at the end of the day, in the aftermath, we can see that she is actually shaken. She's shaken, she's afraid. even though she's made this big leap and she's been decisive about moving forward on the path that she's taking, she is still afraid. And we see that, Raquella, Chula, and all the sisters there with her are also afraid. But apart from being afraid, they are also kind of very scared and not really on board with what Valia has done. But they don't have a choice. They choose to cover for Valia because of self-preservation. Now, we get a distinct look into that, and we see that, they basically tell the truth. Dorothea offed herself. She couldn't take Raquella being gone. That was her, I don't know if it was her grandmother or her aunt. She couldn't take it, and she was like, I'm gonna peace out of here. And she did. So we see how they gathered, that information together. They told the truth, but they told it in a way that didn't expose them for lying. And then we saw how they went about consolidating Valia's power and getting rid of Valia's and Dorothea's supporters and Valia's, basically enemies at that point. They decided to take this path because, they didn't want to leave. The sisterhood is what they wanted to do. And apart from believing in I feel like they did it just because they liked Valia and they believed in Valia, not so much in what Valia and Raquella were doing in the sense of the way that she's gone about it. So that is how the episode opens up, and it was fantastic to finally see what actually happened and how Valia went about consolidating power. Now, a side note, this episode was like around 1 hour and 55 minutes, so it was a very long episode, but it didn't feel long. I was literally hooked from the beginning. Now we're gonna move on to what happens next. So basically it said in the last analysis that I really did think that Desmond Hart was gonna be Chula's baby. And the reason that I thought that is because, I don't know, they planted the seeds, and also I don't know what happened. But when I was watching the last few scenes, I was like, oh no, this is going to be Chula's baby. But at the same time, I was just kind of a bit confused because I was like, they're basically the same age. Travis Timmel and the actress that plays, Chula are basically a few years apart in age. So I was just like, Then obviously the Bene Gesserit sisters, they can do that whole DNA thing and healing and stuff. They have these whole powers that we will dissect another time. So we see that Chula goes to Valia and is like, listen, I'm with child. And we see that Chula is kind of apprehensive of what Valia is going to think. But Valia is like, I'm going to be there for you. You've been here for me. We've chosen this path together. You've supported me, and I'm going to support you, and I'll be here for you if you want me to. So we see that, we see the look on Chula's face that she's just apprehensive because Valia is ruthless, okay? One thing I gotta give it up to Valia is she's ruthless. She gets it in her head when she has something, an idea, something she believes in, which actually goes down to her character arc because it actually shows that she was always searching for something and something to believe in and someone to believe in her to drive herself forward. That's just the kind of person she is at heart. So yeah, it really translates into the character arc. So we see that it's decided basically that, they are gonna raise this baby together and she's gonna support her sister. Then we flash forward to what's going on now. Now, in the last episode, we saw that House Corino, actually we saw it from the beginning, House Corino was having some very much family dynamic issues going on within themselves. I mean, how would you feel if you married your husband and he had a whole mistress, had a baby on you, and then you raised that baby alongside your daughter, and you feel like your husband is not listening to you? He takes counsel constantly from someone else. Not only does he take counsel constantly from someone else, he doesn't trust you, he doesn't believe in you anymore, and your daughter, you feel like she's being stolen away by an organization you do not believe in. I mean, we can only imagine what that is like. And then don't even get me started on Constantine, who wants to basically who wants to basically, you know, support his sister, support his family, but at the same time he wants to be seen by his father, but can never seem to make anybody proud of him. And not only that, he feels torn in a family that he feels like he doesn't belong to. So he's very much a black sheep of the family. So we can also see that there is dynamics there. We've got dynamics with, you know, Javico, him being an insecure leader, being a soft leader, being somebody who is easily led. He doesn't really have a backbone. Everything that he has ever had has been delivered to him either by his wife or by the Bene Gesserit. So we can see that already there's many dynamics going on between husband and wife, between wife and mistress, between husband and mistress, husband and children, and wife and children, and mistress and children. So it's all a mess. And then you put on top of it the politics of it all. It's very much a heaping pile of junk. So we go back to this and we just basically crash land straight into it, and we see that Natalia is had enough. She's had enough. And after just a few days of his mistress being back, basically Francesca, Javico is ready to let the Bene Gesserit back in. He wants his mistress to stay. He is over his wife. He's like, I think Natalia is going to be so much happier that now we don't have to pretend. Typical man. So we can see that Natalia actually really does love him. I mean, she loves him. At some point, when you're pretending to be something that you're not and you have a mission, you do end up falling in love. I mean, we can only take a page out of, let's say, Paul Atreides' mother. We can see what happened there. She chose Duke, Atreides over the sisterhood, over, her mission there. Paul was supposed to be a girl. Paul was supposed to be Paulina. And she decided to make it a Paul because she loved, Leto so much. So we see that basically they've gotten back together. They're in the sack again. And he's very much ready to be like, I need you stationed here. I'm going to leave my wife and I'm going to make you my official wife and we can be together. And we can see Francesca is very torn and basically hopeful at the same time. This is where I bring in the fact that maybe like that time when they really covered for, Valia, it was because they were afraid of themselves, but they believed in their friend, but didn't want to lose the things that they had. They didn't, they believed in the sisterhood, but at the same time, they wanted to protect themselves and their friend, and they believed in Valia more than they believed in the way that she goes about achieving her goals. So we see Francesca and Valia have a conversation where, Francesca is basically like, Inez has been arrested because she was out here trying to free Kieran Atreides, and we see that Valia's had enough. She's like, you know what, we're getting rid of this puppet Emperor Javico the Dumb. Okay, and we see that Francesca's really torn. She's like, listen, like, just let me stay here, let me get him to release Inez, and let me be with him. I'll get him back on track. Like, he wants to see you. And we see that Valia's like over it. She's got her plan. Now we see that Inez goes to her mother. Well, her mother finds her trying to break out Kieran, and we see that her mother is just basically like, you've come to me too late. Like, I wanted you to come to me before, but you're coming to me now, and there's nothing I can do for you because I don't really trust you, and I can't do anything for you because our alignment is separate in the sense that, Inez has different prerogatives and her mother has different prerogatives, but at the same time, like, the mother-daughter relationship has been so disrupted that none of them can really trust each other. They don't really know each other. So we see that, I feel really bad for Natalia. At the same time, like, Inez is just like annoying. I'm sorry. Like, Inez, I don't really have a great grasp on her character apart from she loves Kieran, and they are really banking on her being Queen Empress because, she'll stabilize the Carino line. Now, that is all I've got from Inez. She can kind of fight, we've seen her fight a few times. I wasn't really impressed. Bottom line is, like, I'm more invested in Constantine than I am Inez, because Constantine has layers to him. You know, he's the prince that was chosen because he had to protect his sister. He is part of all this intricate web of lies, as Inez is, but Constantine is like a bit more, he's a bit more, I don't know what the right word is. He's a bit more vulnerable than Inez. Inez is just basically like, oh, dad is weak, and I can... That's all I've got from Inez. Literally, that's all I've got from Inez. And she's pretty. But we see what happens there. You know, she's basically arrested along with Kieran Atreides, basically. Now, back with the sisterhood in the flashback, we see that Valia shows, you know, the sisters the thinking machine. We also see that, you know, Tula is actually trying to figure out a way to basically get this virus together, because obviously the virus Desmond Hart is using is machine based. So that is why we've got the episode. That's a callback to the episode name, The Heavy Handed Enemy. So we see in the flashback that, you know, Valia, Francesca, Tula, they all make a plan to essentially bring Javico into power. They make their plans from here. This is where the plans start. And we see that, you know, basically before he was even born, Francesca was assigned to him, basically. We see where the plans all come in. And basically this is also a testament to how powerful and forward-thinking the Bene Gesserit are. I told you they're a formidable organization, but I just don't. I want to bank for them so much, but at the same time, like, it's very, it's not black and white. It's a fluid thing. You know, there's no good or bad person. It's just everybody's doing what they think is right. Javico is over here preening. Now, I laughed out loud a lot of times when it came to Javico, because he's very weak. He's a good man, but he's a weak man. And I feel like his relationship with his wife, Natalia, would have been a lot stronger had the Bene Gesserit not meddled. But essentially, altogether, anyway, I have to say, like, he's kind of like, I don't even feel bad for him. I just feel like he was an idiot. He was a literal man having an affair. So we see that he goes to Desmond Hart and he's like all happy. He's ready to let the Bene Gesserit back in. He wants his mistress back. He wants the love of his life back. He's sending his wife away. Basically, he's sending Natalia off on tour, which is code for I'm banishing you. So that I can be with my mistress. So we see how he goes to Desmond Hart, and Desmond Hart is like, oh, you're letting the Bene Gesserit back in. And he's like, you work for me, I'm doing this, and this is my decision. So we see that Desmond goes straight to Natalia and is like, listen, Natalia, your husband is trying to send you away to, I don't know where, but he wants you to go on and travel as an envoy, and she sees it for what it is. It is a banishment. Valia's plan goes right ahead. So she ropes Francesca into it, and Francesca is just sad the whole way through. The actress did a really good job of portraying the emotions going through Francesca. So we see that before Valia's plan actually carries out, Desmond and Natalia confront Javico, and they're like, listen, we're not gonna kill you, we're not gonna off you, but you are going to become a puppet. You're gonna do and say what we tell you to do and say, because you cannot be trusted. So we see that Javico is shaken, and he goes and he is informed that, you know what, the Mother Superior is here. So Valia is there sat on the throne, and, you know, we see how Javico is just basically so happy to see her. He's like, you were right, we should have trusted Desmond Hart. I'm ready to let you back in. Get rid of them. So we obviously see here that Javico is an emperor who has everything handed to him. He can't do anything by himself. He doesn't have the forward thinking or the mindset to rid himself of his own problems that he created. Now, we see how that conversation goes. He is informed of the plan, everything that was planned before he was even born, and he is just heartbroken. Now, we see that he has a confrontation later on with his mistress, official mistress, the mother of his son, Francesca. And he's like, why did Valia think that I wasn't going to make it past tonight? Because obviously he's informed of the whole plan to crown Inez. Now, they have a very hard conversation where he's like, was any of it real? We see that Francesca is just stressed out. She is trying to tell him like, listen, I love you. She puts down her weapons, and we see in the end of it, he stabs himself because he's like, I have control over this. And we see that Francesca is just distraught, and he is dying, and here comes his wife, Natalia, who basically offs Francesca, and this idiot has the audacity, I laughed, the audacity to reach out for Natalia, to grab onto her and, seek comfort, because in that moment when he's dying, he realizes that this woman is the only woman has truly ever been honest and cared about me. She was right about everything. But she pulls her dress away, herself away, walks over him, and goes off screaming, the Emperor is dead. Now, this episode was fantastic. We saw the big escape with Inez from, the prison, and we saw that we know Desmond Hart is Chula's son, and we saw that there is somebody else in the shadows moving pieces. They're using Desmond. They are a step ahead of the Bene Gesserit. This was a phenomenal episode. I give it a solid B. Solid B. I can't wait for the next episode. I don't know what the next season's gonna look like because it's been picked up for a season 2. Altogether, this was a phenomenal episode. What was your favorite moment? My favorite moment was Natalia walking over her husband and offing his mistress. That was just like powerhouse move. Like him realizing that person that he has shunned and mistreated, not listened to, is the one person who was actually looking out for him in his corner, telling him the truth, was a little too late. And it was just great that he got to experience that before he died. Put your comment in the comment section. What was your standout moment? And I'll see you in the next one. Welcome to the end of the video, and thank you very much for making it to the end. Make sure you check out Vertigo Honor Bound by Blood, the first installment in the Vertigo book series. It is set in 2095 at the heart of the Imperial Champion regime, where Emperor Gregory Champion rules over Earth and the colonies stretching out across the solar system, where there is a virus called the Megavirus that has mutated and changed the political landscape of Earth. This is a story about factions, about coming of age, about the importance of being firm in what you believe in a world where bloodlines matter. What faction are you?